Welcome to Sunnybrook Smart Learning. Be fun, be smart, learning is fun, learning is smart. In this program, we are going to learn some principles and concepts of education and how we can apply them in parenting, teaching, our own learning. This program is for parents, teachers, learners, and lifelong learners. We have 13 episodes for this program. For my first episode, my guests are Karen, Caritza, and Jab. And the first topic for our program is education for the heart and mind, EQ plus IQ. So, Karen, you think you have higher EQ or IQ?
I think personally, it depends on the situation. Really.
On the situation,
Sometimes
yeah.
I feel na if I'm in class, I have IQ working, but when I'm stressed, I think my EQ kind of shoots down. Yeah.
So, Jab, do you know people who have high EQ but low IQ, or a high IQ and low
Actually,
EQ?
I know someone who has high IQ but very low EQ.
Oh.
Yeah, I had this experience with her, and I know she needs to work out with her EQ.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. How about Caritza? Do you think IQ is more important or EQ?
I guess it has to be, both of them have to be balanced.
Yeah. So people have a misconception of EQ and IQ. They thought that people who have IQ, high IQ, are low in EQ. But that's not true. There are people who have high IQ and high EQ. While there are people who have low IQ and low EQ.
Yes.
Well, of course, there are those who have high IQ but low EQ, or low IQ and high EQ. So there are 4 different types of people. So today we want to learn from Daniel Goleman what are the 5 hallmarks of EQ. The first thing is self-awareness. That is being aware of your feelings and what makes you angry and so on and so forth. So are you familiar with your own emotional life? Are you familiar with your feelings that you are about to get angry, for example?
Me, I am, yes.
Yeah.
Whenever I am hungry and I lack sleep, usually my head is really hot.
Really, yeah. So do you feel sad and you know that the sadness is too long, or it's okay to be sad?
For me, I think I have 2 EQ challenges every day. Like one, when I'm driving.
Yeah.
It's really hard to practice high EQ when you're driving.
Correct. Yeah.
When, somebody cuts, and then, so what I try to do, and I hope this is good EQ, is I play spa music when I'm driving. So
Yeah.
I think it kind of helps me not be flustered
Yeah.
while driving.
So that goes to the second hallmark, self-management. So if you're hungry or you're angry and so on, what do you do? How do you manage your emotion? Yeah, so first hallmark was self-awareness, and the second one is self-management. So you have certain ways of coping with your feelings every day. And the third hallmark is self-motivation. If you fail, if there is a setback in your life, what do you do? How do you motivate yourself? So have you ever experienced failure in your life or your work or studies? Caritza?
Yes, of course.
What do you do? How do you motivate yourself?
How did I motivate myself? I just think of the consequences. That if I would stay feeling defeated, feeling like a failure, so I think of the bigger picture, like the things that I'm missing because of how I feel.
Yeah, high EQ people have high self-motivation so that they delay their immediate gratification and work harder, give more effort to something. And the fourth important hallmark is empathy. Empathy is to feel how other people feel, yeah, and to be able to give consolation or encouragement to someone. That is very important in EQ as well. So have you ever had that kind of experience from other people who comforted you while you're down?
Actually, I think it's 2-way. One is when, as a teacher, sometimes students come in, especially as a teacher of high school students, they come in with certain issues. Sometimes, they're saying stuff just to get out of a responsibility.
All right, yeah.
And then I think this is a part that requires me to be more empathetic, like try to understand where they're coming from. At the same time, like I also want other people to empathize with me.
Right,
I guess.
yeah.
So it makes things easier when they understand where you're coming from.
Correct, yeah. So the opposite of empathy is, being cold or
Yes.
numb about other people's feelings, deadma,
Yes, yes.
walang pakialam, and so
Yes.
on. So, and the number 5, the 5th hallmark is social effectiveness. So when there's conflict, how do you negotiate? And when there is there's a group project, how do you compromise your ideas and so
Yeah.
on? Is that important in your line of work, Jap?
Yes po, especially that I'm working with so many co-teachers
Yeah.
since I am working in a big school.
Right,
So
yeah.
in our level, we are 20 teachers. So whenever there are programs, we have, of course, to fit
Yes.
in all of our
Ideas.
Yeah, ideas, yeah.
So sometimes there are clashing of ideas.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
really have to compromise
Yes.
for each other.
Correct, yeah. So EQ is not just having many friends. Yeah, you
Yes.
think that EQ is someone who has such a large network.
Yeah.
If he has not have empathy, social effectiveness, does not know how to negotiate, then he's not good in social effectiveness.
Yes.
So if we look at the 5 hallmarks again, the first, self-awareness, self-management, self-motivation, empathy, and social effectiveness. Which is hardest for you to practice EQ, Karen?
For me, it must be number 5, social effectiveness. Because I've always known, like, I'm in touch with my feelings, with skills, and I think I have a hard time working with other people. I work well with people who I think are at the same level, but of course, not everybody is at the same level, like work ethic and
Yeah.
etc. And it's not always like, a really good ride. So I think I have to work on social effectiveness.
So how do you think we can teach social effectiveness in school, even for elementary grade and high school students? What are your suggestions, Jeb?
Maybe we can have more of group talks inside the classroom
Collaborative,
because
right?
sometimes kids really are self-centered. They just want
Yeah.
to ako to, learn from me and all.
Yeah.
But
Attention seeking.
Yes.
Yes.
So I think more of collaborative works
Yes.
so they can practice at least in the classroom and bring that outside.
Also, can I have a suggestion? I remember looking back, I think because I come from a family of 5 kids and then 2 parents, my parents would always have what you call this family meetings.
Right, yeah.
So I think it's a good practice for social effectiveness.
Correct, yeah.
Hearing each other out, compromising. I think that's a good practice also at home.
Yeah, so even at home, parents should practice
Yes.
EQ with their children,
Yes,
right? To help them identify their feelings, to manage their
Yeah.
feelings, and how to motivate themselves when they are down, and to have empathy for other siblings,
Yes.
and lastly, to cooperate and to collaborate. Yeah, it is important that people have EQ because. Let's say you're a professional, no? You are so good in IQ with your management, your things, and so on, your work, but your marriage is not working. Yeah? So in life, as in work, you need both IQ and EQ.
Yes.
So somebody said, no, if you have high IQ, then you would write a book about marriage. Yeah. But then go to the psychologist
Yeah.
because your marriage is not working. But if you have high EQ, you don't need a marriage counselor.
Yeah.
You can manage also your life better that way. So it is important at home and in school for parents and teachers to develop educational objectives both for the heart and the mind. We don't just teach for the mind,
Yes.
but also for the heart. Now, emotional intelligence, according to Salovey, is the ability to perceive emotions, to access and generate emotions, so as to assist thought to understand emotions and emotional knowledge, and to reflectively regulate emotions so as to promote emotional and intellectual growth. Yeah, parents, tiger moms are so worried about children's achievement in school, but are they careful to develop their emotional growth as well?
Yeah.
Right? So you have to know your emotions, have lots of emotional words so that you can access and know how to
Yes.
manage them. And the point there, the emotions, is to assist your thought. Yeah, there's a great relationship between emotion and your thinking. Because if you have low EQ, you're not taking responsibilities for your feelings. You let things build up, then blow up. You become insecure, defensive,
Yes.
poor listener. You interrupt, invalidates other people's feelings. You are not considering others' feelings before acting. Yeah, so in your experience, observation of your teaching and so on, are there students these days low in EQ or high in EQ? And what is causing all this problem in EQ? Yeah, Karen.
In my class, well, because I teach high school, so you kind of like see how their EQs are. And I have students, I think, who exhibit like really high EQ, like they talk it over or they come to me after class and talk with me. But I also have students who, like the second point, like lets things blow up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
that's
think
right,
that
yeah.
one, not to be but I think some of the students who do that are frequently playing video games.
Yeah, video games.
Yes. They don't hang out with classmates during break.
Correct.
That's what I noticed about these
That's
certain
true.
students.
Because
So,
people these days do not play with other children.
Yes, yes.
They play alone. They don't
Yes.
have to practice EQ
Yes.
playing alone.
so
too
that's what
much,
I
yeah.
noticed. Like these students, when it's like break time, I would see them like staying in one corner on their own,
Yeah.
not with the other students. And these are the students who kind of, when they get so stressed about the work activity that I require, and they don't get it, they really blow up in my class. It's
short
a
fuse.
standard,
Oo.
yes. So maybe it's because, I have a feeling, maybe it's lack of social effectiveness also.
Yeah. Because the environment is not encouraging them to
Yeah,
work
to work
together,
with- yes.
to see each other face to
Yes.
face. No?
Yeah.
Oo. Because maybe communicating through just Viber or is different from communicating face to face.
Yes,
Oo.
yes.
So how can we practice EQ and IQ in a classroom? Parker Palmer wrote a book called The Courage to Teach. And he has these 4 points, which I love very much. When we teach mathematics or science or language or reading and so on, but when we separate head from the heart, then the result would be minds that do not know how to feel and hearts that do not know how to
Correct.
think.
Yes.
So in other words, our minds should feel as well, and our hearts should think as well.
Yes.
They are not separate. Yeah, minds that do not know how to feel and hearts that do not know how to think.
Correct.
Does this happen in many conflicts in the school or in your work? Yeah, when
it
people
does.
when they use their hearts too much without thinking, or when they use their minds too much without feeling.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first thing we need to do is not to separate the head from the heart.
Yes.
Yeah. The second thing is not to separate because facts from feelings. When we separate facts from feelings, then they become bloodless facts that make the world distant and remote,
Yeah.
or ignorant emotions that reduce truth to how one feels today. I find that very true. People, it is post-truth days now, no? Post-truth.
Yeah.
Fake news. So there are lots of ignorant emotions, and they think that truth is how you feel today, not stable, not throughout the life. not the same tomorrow. Truth does not change that quickly, right? Yeah, so between the two points that we already shared, no? When we separate head from the heart and when we separate facts from feelings, do you experience this even when you were in school, elementary or high school, when teachers are just concerned about facts but not feelings, when they were concerned about head but not the heart? It probably, in certain subjects pa, like math or science,
Sometimes
do they
po
care?
in math, no, parang
Yeah.
they want you to master everything and they focus on, parang they forget na po that sometimes you are overwhelmed with all the numbers.
Correct,
And,
yeah.
and they will just say, oh, you have to learn this because it's easy and all. But for us, it's difficult and they do not parang consider our feelings toward mathematics po.
Right,
But
right.
our teachers po, I experience na they consider po parang they want to feel they want you to feel na math is easy. I will help you.
These are teachers that when you are discouraged would come and help you out pa, give extra
Yes.
time or ganyan, yeah. It's important that teachers teach students, not just teach a subject.
Yes.
Kung subject
Yes
lang,
po.
then it becomes just facts and head, but not the heart,
Yes.
no? So, Caritza, did you experience difficulties when you were a student?
Well, I guess I am guilty because, because before I was teaching I was teaching chemistry, and so
Ah.
yeah, and it's like a science science curriculum. So their science subjects are advanced. So it's like hardcore chemistry, and then after teaching, I would always ask myself, so what then? What if they knew about those
Yeah. Yeah.
theories?
Yeah, all the
So what
formula
next?
and
Yeah.
so on. Lalo,
Right.
chemistry. What does NaCl?
Yes.
And all this, lots of formulas that are actually very important in making medicine, but children or students may not have experienced the importance of it in their daily lives.
For me,
How about Karen?
For me, I think, parang from the student's perspective, if I don't feel like I have a connection with the teacher or that she's empathetic towards me, I have a hard time like connecting with the subject.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. Yeah.
parang I'm not motivated to go to class. I
Yeah.
don't feel like, I will do it, but it affects my learning process
Correct.
also.
That's a very important point. No? Teachers should know their students.
Yes,
Oo,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
That's why journaling is very important. Even in
Yeah.
courses, that's why I
Yes.
ask my students to journal
Yes.
so I could know how they are feeling in this course, about their life, about their program, and so on and so forth. Yeah. How about this third important point? When we separate theory from practice, the result would be theories that have little to do with life and practice that is uninformed by understanding. Theories that have little to do with life. Yeah. So some people think that theories are not important. No more theories, no more theories. Of course, theories are important. They are going to guide our decision.
Yes.
Yeah. But if teachers are not able to make these theories come alive, practical, livable, then they become just words on a sheet of paper. Yeah. So is that important in your teaching as well? Jap, what do you teach? Yeah.
I'm teaching science, English,
Wow.
Mape.
Oh, dami!
Passion sa pagpapakatao.
Wow,
So, I'm
dami!
teaching 4 subjects and I agree po with this. Because, for example, in my case, I'm teaching a very diverse class.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm teaching 45 kids
Yes.
Wow.
with different level
Learning,
of different learning styles and
Yeah.
all.
And
So
what are
I'm
their grade levels?
grade 4.
All grade 4.
Yes.
Oo.
So I need really to look on theories. How will I explain the behavior of these kids? Why, even though they are on the same
Yes.
age range, they exhibit different behaviors. So with that, I will consult the theory so I can I can make my strategies
Correct.
align with
Yeah,
their
yeah.
learning.
That's true. Yeah, the application part you can make, but the
Yes.
theories had been proven, so they are important
Yes,
in
they're
your.
just my guide po in
Oo.
developing
Now, among
the
the many
strategy.
courses that you teach, which is most difficult to practice these things, the theory and the practice?
Maybe
Yeah.
for me, edukasyon sa pagpapakatao.
Really?
Values education.
Okay. Why?
Because po, it's very hard really to teach good manners to kids, right, in this generation because of exposure to media. So what I teach in class is different from
What they know.
what they watch in TV.
Oo.
So for example, po in my class, I'm shocked that they know already things like kabet. Yes, because that's
yeah,
what they,
because of popular media.
Yes. So,
Those are the uso na shows.
parang ang hirap po talagang humugot from
Correct. Yes.
Actually, values education, there's lots of moral lessons, di ba?
Yes,
Moral theories
yes.
and so on. No? And it is most, I was assuming that it was easiest to connect the theories and the practice.
And the values.
Because there's a life practice, di ba? And I thought science would be the most difficult to, but they are, in other words, they are less affected by the media and the environment about their knowledge of science. But they are most affected already
Yes.
in their morality
Yes.
By what they
Yes.
learn from the media
Yes.
and Oo. And the last one is when we separate teaching from learning. The result would be teachers who talk but do not listen, and students who listen but do not talk. Yeah? There are many teachers who feel that they are so good, they don't have to learn. And I always say, if teachers stop learning, they are not teachers
Yes.
anymore. Yeah. Do you experience this too in your teaching, Karen?
Yes, definitely. Actually, when I started teaching, I thought I knew everything. But when you interact with your students, you learn so much from them. So
Right, yeah.
when I entered grad school, MA, the more I realized that the more I learn, the more I actually don't know.
Right, yeah.
So I think that as a teacher, parang we can't stop. One, because your students are different every time. So you have to for this age group, what's new? What's hip and happening? So I get to
Alright,
relate
yeah.
to them. So I also need to keep learning.
Correct,
They have
yeah.
lingo, like my student goes, "Teacher, can you dub?" I'm like, "What's dub?"
Oh,
Then she
what's
goes,
dub?
It's like, so I need to do that.
So dub is
Yeah.
not dubbing in
Not
for
it's
example,
like the AB. So I was so surprised and they were laughing. "You don't know, Teacher Karen?" I'm like, "No." But so to start the class, I go like that. They go laugh and they connect with me. So I think we should keep learning, not theories only and concepts. Like learn about what these students can relate with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are other ways of dubbing? Is it just one way?
It's like like that. He did it better. Yeah, he did it better.
Yeah, okay.
You know millennials. Wow!
Don't tell me about it. Okay, so here we are. We should not be separating head from the heart.
Yes.
Not facts, not separating facts from feelings, not separating theory from practice, and not separate teaching from learning. Yeah, and we can learn so much from Parker Palmer, just to be courageous in teaching. Courage to Teach is the title of his book. And if teachers are afraid to show their feelings, then students will be afraid to show their feelings as well. So teachers have vulnerable places, and they are not Superman. They are not perfect. Yeah. So if students know that they can share with their teachers about their problems, then that would make for a better, livelier classroom. Yeah. So from what we learned today, 5 hallmarks of EQ, and what low EQ would result in, and what if we separate teaching from learning and facts from feelings and so on. If we do not put head and heart, or head, the mind and the brain together with our feelings, then this will result of bloodless facts, of ignorant emotions and so on. Yeah. So I have a book that actually where I put here a Bible verse, which I feel is very important. Comes from 2 Peter 1:6. 2 Peter 1:6. Make every effort to add to your knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance.
Self-control and
So adding to your knowledge, you should also learn self-control and perseverance. So if knowledge is IQ, we have to add EQ as well to our effort. And I always like to quote this passage from from the art of giving. The art of giving. Yeah, not only for parents but teachers. We give ourselves when we give gifts of the heart: love, kindness, joy, understanding, sympathy, tolerance, forgiveness. We give of ourselves when we give gifts of the mind: ideas, dreams, purposes, ideals, principles, plans, inventions, projects, poetry. We give of ourselves when we give gifts of words: encouragement, inspiration, guidance. Emerson said it well: rings and jewels are not gifts, but apologies for gifts. The only true gift is a portion of thyself. So as teachers, we give portion of ourselves to our students when we give gifts of the heart, gifts of the mind, and gifts of words. Thank you very much for watching this first episode of Sunnybrook Smart Learning. And thank you, my guests, Karen, Caritza, and Ja. Thank you for watching the first episode of Sunnybrook Smart Learning. See you next time.